Senior Faculty of History at Vision IAS. I have been teaching history as an optional paper and GS for more than 20 years. Okay, without wasting your time, just want to disclose you today's topic is very interesting topic titled as Swadeshi movement, which is also categorized as the mother and nursery of Indian national movement in India. So here we will proceed as such. It was a milestone in the history of national movement of India. So we will cover this topic in a following way. First, we will discuss the historical background, which finally culminated into this historic Swadeshi movement during 1905-08. Secondly, I will discuss the core programs which were the part of the movement. Thirdly, I will discuss the mass participation and the prominent programs in the movement. And lastly, how far it is correct to say that the so-called Swadeshi movement was a nursery or mother of Indian national movement. Guys, okay, fine, let us start. So first, I will disclose the background of this movement. We cannot directly jump into the topic unless you know the forces which are going to shape this movement. You will not get the true feel of this topic. So just for 10 minutes, let us see the background. This was a timeline. If you see the background, in the history we have economic background, socio-cultural and political. And lastly, every movement has some immediate cause, and hereby we will also discuss the same. So guys, try to understand, this was the first mass movement in the history of national movement in India. So first, try to understand what is the economic background which finally culminated into Swadeshi movement. So in the economic background, you can say land revenue policies, recurring famine, poverty, unemployment, and the very most important thing was the theory of drain of wealth. It was a turning point in the colonial history of India. I think you all are well aware, the theory of drain of wealth given by Dadabhai Naoroji. First time it was exposed in 1867, and gradually it was in 1902, a voluminous book, The Poverty and Un-British Rule in India, got published. See the year, very important for the prelims. So Naoroji, Dadabhai Naoroji, he was the first Indian who exposed the drain of wealth. That is, Britishers are draining the wealth of India. After Naoroji, it was M.G. Ranade who exposed the same in his book Essays on Indian Economics. So, guys, this all may have realized the newly evolving educated class about the real face of the colonial empire. They came to know their face is white, but the color is black. The intention is black, sorry. So, it means this all was a turning point. It exposed that British state in India was not for the well-being of the Indians. They had exploited the economy of India, breakdown of cottage industries, famine, declining agricultural production, gradually leading to the poverty and employment. So, this was one of the driving force behind Swadeshi movement. Come to the second, socio-cultural aspect. In British India, the policy of racial discrimination, along with this, interference in social customs, regarding Indians in low esteem, not only in administration, in the all domains of society. So, I think you got it point. Socio-cultural factors were also there. When we come to political, try to understand. As you know, Indians were deprived any contribution in administration, that is civil services. Their participation was highly negligible. In legislative bodies, only those elite Indians who were loyal to the Britishers, they got nominated in the houses, who were called as moderates. The political deprivation was there, and the early moderates failed to bring the desired changes. Hence, inside the Congress, a new wing was evolving, categorized as extremist. So, politically, Indians' intellectual class was not satisfied by the governance model brought by the British in India. They were deprived in the administration and the high post. Similarly, in political houses, assemblies, nomination was there, election was not the rule. In this way, political deprivation was there. Nextly, coming to the immediate cause, which is very important. As you know, Bengal was evolving as a force of Indian nationalism. The new intellectual class of Bengal was becoming a terror for the British administration. Hence, the Viceroy of India, Curzon, and his Home Secretary Risley finally made a conspiracy and devised a plan that by partitioning the Bengal, we can serve our interest. Even a comment was made, Bengal united is power, and by dividing Bengal, we can pull in several different ways. So, Risley, the Home Secretary, was the brainchild behind it, and finally, in July 1905, this is July, in July 1905, on the recommendation of Risley Committee, partition was announced. But keep in your mind, it came into effect on 16th October 1905. I think this background is very clear to all of you. So, listen again, then what happened in the course of time. So, finally, July 1905 announcement. This is a turning point. The day it got announced in Bengal, the moderate leaders in the early phase, they started prayers, petitions, and procession against the partition, because moderates were driving the Congress. In the first phase, how resentment was expressed? The leaders made prayers, petition, and procession. But finally, it was a pressure from the extremist wing that on this date, it is very important, 7th August 1905, at the meeting of Town Hall in Calcutta, a resolution was passed to start the Swadeshi and boycott movement. Very important. So, this date is very historic. As you are well aware, Bengal got partition on communal grounds. That is, Muslim majority, East Bengal was merged with Assam. Earlier, Assam was separated from Bengal in 1874 as the Chief Commissioner province, and by 1905, East Bengal got merged with the Assam, that is Muslim majority belt, and the Hindu majority belt, which today is called as West Bengal, was simply named as Bengal. The eastern part was named as East Bengal and Assam, mind it. And here see the brainchild, how they want to pull Bengal in different ways. Just listen the background. East Bengal and Assam. Here Muslim majority, Hindus minorities. While in the this western part, Hindu majority, but in the western part, keep in your mind, the Bengali speaking people came in minority. They were outnumbered by the Bihari and the Oriyan speaking people. So keep in your mind, it was not simply communal partition. Beside communal partition, they also want to make these Bengali intellectuals of the West in minority in comparison to the Biharis and the Oriyas living in Bengal. So I think you got the point. So finally, their motive was to bring this rising nationalism of Bengal by dividing Bengal in this way. So finally, on this date, very important, and our PM Modi ji had declared the same date as National Handloom Day. The same question was asked by UPSC just 3-4 years back. So why 7th August? Because on the same date, resolution for Swadeshi and boycott was passed. I think you got the point. So see how events are culminating into movement. This, second this. Finally, after this, it was in December 1906, very important. Congress passed 4 resolutions: Swaraj, Swadeshi, boycott, national education. The 4 important resolutions got passed in December 1906, presided by Dada Bhai Nauroji. And finally, the movement took its course. So I think the background is very clear to all of you. Now coming to the programs of the movement. It is promoting it can be called as economic nationalism. But this Swadeshi has a very broader meaning. Economy, polity, science and technology, culture. It means Swadeshi was not confined to only economic domain. It was confined to almost all domain. Swadeshi have to promote in the economic domain. Indians should be granted self-rule, that is Swaraj, promotion of indigenous science and technology, cultural revivalism, in all these domains. And next is the first time in the history of colonial history of India, Congress is going for Swaraj. Congress is going for Swadeshi. The third resolution passed in the Calcutta session was boycott. Boycotts of British goods. And keep in your mind, here boycott was not related with the institutions and services like promoted by Gandhi in non-cooperation movement. Here broadly the boycott of British goods and colleges, but as such it was not holistic in nature like in the non-cooperation movement. And national education. So see what happened in this domain. Here we have lot of Swadeshi industries. Lot of Swadeshi industries were established, like Steam Navigation Company, it was the first indigenous company was established by Chidambaram Pillai of Madras Presidency. Secondly, Bengal Chemicals. Here the major investment was made by a great scientist, Praful Chand Roy. He also asked the enterprising Indians to establish soap, matchbox and other cottage industries. Bengal, Lakshmi Textiles, and this Bengal Chemical is still going on. So we have lot of Swadeshi industries, promotion of charkha and khadi, that is textile. So in the economic domain, we can say these all programs were promoted on large scale. Boycott of foreign goods. This was the core program of Swadeshi movement practiced in Bengal, Punjab and Madras, and of course at Bombay, because Tilak was a leader from Bombay. So this all was carried. Simultaneously, national literature plus national education was also promoted. Under this, we have great writers, Rabindranath Tagore, even painting also, national painting. Rabindranath Tagore composed a famous song, Amar Sonar Bangla. He also asked the people of Bengal to celebrate this day as a Raksha Bandhan day. To Rabindranath Tagore. Similarly, in the field of national education, we have national colleges. Arbindo Ghosh became the principal of National College of Bengal. He also became the head of National Council of Education. Like today we have NCERT. He became the president of National Council of Education. Along with this, Rabindranath Tagore had made the Bharat Mata painting to popularize the emotions of Swadeshi. Along with this, we have a great name by the name Sakharam Ganesh Deoskar, a great patriot. Originally, his family belonged to Maharashtra, that is Bombay Presidency, who had later shifted to Devghar in today in Jharkhand. So he was a great patriot, nationalist. His birthplace was Devghar. He wrote a famous book, Deshar Katha. It is in Bengali language, keep in your mind. Here Deshar means nation, not Bengal. A story of a nation. In this book, he popularized how Britishers had hypnotized the mindset of the Indians, and he asked the Indians to practice boycott of foreign goods on large scale. He wrote folk songs and organized folk plays to promote the same message of Swadeshi. And guys, mind it, the first person who popularized the concept of boycott was by a nationalist of Bengal, Kishan Kumar Mitra, where he first time popularized the concept of boycott in his journal by the name Sanjeevani. A question may come in your mind, the driving slogans of this movement as Swaraj and Swadeshi, where this concept had taken a birth. So just for 2 seconds, try to catch this point. The concept of Swaraj was evolved by Dayanand Saraswati in 1870s, a great reformer of India. It means Swaraj has taken birth in 1870s. Simultaneously, Swadeshi was evolved by Gopal Hari Deshmukh, a Marathi reformer who had given the concept of Swadeshi in 1840s. So these all two concepts became the mantra of Swadeshi movement. Not only Swadeshi movement, it became the mantra of the whole freedom struggle of India. Even Gandhi borrowed the same. So I think you got my point. The concept of Swaraj and Swadeshi was evolved in the social reform phase. You got the point. So fine. तो लिटरेचर में दिस ऑल सखाराम गणेश देवस्कर. पेंटिंग में कीप इन योर माइंड वी हैव ए फेमस पेंटिंग मेड बाय रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर नेम्ड एज भारत माता पेंटिंग. तो दीज वर द मेन programs carried under Swadeshi movement. The next important character of this programs of this movement was It was a very innovative character of Swadeshi movement. They can be called as executive bodies who had driven the Swadeshi movement. We have lot of samitis like Anusilan Samiti, it was in Dhaka, Yugantar, it was in Calcutta, Sudesh Bandhav Samiti, the important character of Swadeshi movement was, here we find lot of samitis, societies, who promoted the message of Swadeshi and Swaraj and boycott, not only the cities, but to the rural mass also. So keep in your mind, they had a very broad goal. They also promoted social work like famine, drought relief work. They also promoted cotton industries. It means their goal was holistic. They are taking the message of this to the rural masses. So this, guys, this all in short, you got the point. What were the programs of Swadeshi movement? Now we can see the character of this movement. It was confined to mainly Bengal and to some parts of Bombay, because Tilak was from Bombay, Madras, Chidambaram Pillai, and Punjab. Since Lajpat Rai came from Punjab, so mainly it was confined to Bengal and some parts of Bombay, Madras and Punjab. Hence, it cannot be called as truly national in character. Although we will call it as a national movement, but we cannot call it a truly a national movement, as it was confined especially to Bengal. Second nature mein, keep in your mind, the participation of workers was also noticed. We have lot of strikes, like in Bengal, tramway strike by the coolies, railway workshop strikes. The workers' participation was noticed in Bengal and also in some parts of Madras. But please keep in your mind, peasants' participation was below normal. The reason was, the leaders of Swadeshi movement had neglected the interest of this class, that is the issue of tenancy, and majority of leaders, they came from middle class or landlord families. Nobody had spoken about the interests of this class, that is bottom peasantry of India. So please note this point, participation of peasants cannot be called as normal, it was below normal. The main driving force of the youth was youth and the middle class. I think you have understood the nature of this Swadeshi movement. Now, for 5 minutes, we can discuss So, this is a very interesting question here. Can Swadeshi movement be called as nursery of Indian national movement? If you minutely observe all the forces which evolved here, definitely we can come to the conclusion it can be called as a mother or nursery of Indian national movement. How we can justify? See here. First time the first point is, first time we noticed that in the history of national movement of India, before Swadeshi movement, politics was confined to the elite class sitting in the legislative councils and following the practice of prayers and petitions. The first time in the history of national movement of India, a new class participated. Although not large scale, but at least the start was made. Earlier only secondly first time mass movement, that is passive resistance, was practiced. Earlier only prayer and petition was the mode. Thirdly, the goal of Swaraj and Swadeshi, which were the mantra of this movement, and also the driving force of the movement. The first time in the history of freedom struggle of India, we are noticing that a movement is focusing on Swaraj, Swadeshi and national education. So, if you take all the three characters, you will come to know even Gandhi had carried the same, but Gandhi had widened it on pan India level. But at least Swadeshi movement had started a new phase in the history of freedom struggle coming of this class. Gandhi had simply widened this base at a pan India level. Come to the second character, Gandhi also carried this practice of passive resistance. Only Gandhi had mixed some new programs like constructive programs, satyagraha, non-violent. In this way, it was carried by this all was carried in the succeeding movement also. Simultaneously, Swaraj and Swadeshi, very important. The same was carried by Gandhi also. It means this was carried by Gandhi also. Hence, we can say, definitely say, this Swadeshi movement was a historic phase or milestone in the freedom struggle and can be called as nursery or mother of Indian national movement in India. Okay, guys, wish you all the best, and will be coming soon under the series Speaking of History with a new topic. Wish you all the best.